Welcome back to the channel, coin lovers and collectors. Today, we're about to uncover the top 5 most valuable United Kingdom 1-penny coins, and trust me, some of these coins might just be sitting unnoticed in your collection, piggy bank, or even inside old family drawers. These aren't just ordinary pennies, they're rare, historic, and highly sought after by serious collectors around the world. From specific mint marks to different years and conditions, each coin on this list holds significant value in the collector's market and can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. Let's get started. First up, the 1967 1-penny coin. While at first glance this might appear to be an ordinary coin that many people have seen rolling around in old drawers or tucked away in dusty jars, the truth is that even these seemingly common coins can carry an intriguing story and sometimes, depending on condition, mint details, and current demand, can hold surprising value in the modern collector's market, especially when traded internationally and valued in dollars. So grab your magnifying glass and get comfortable as we journey through the history, the unique characteristics, the factors that drive its rarity, and how collectors today view and trade the 1967 UK 1-penny in circulated condition. To truly understand the significance of the 1967 1-penny, we first need to step back and look at the period in which this coin was minted. The late 1960s in Britain was a time of great transition. Queen Elizabeth II was firmly established as the reigning monarch, having ascended to the throne in 1952, and the coinage of the realm continued to bear her youthful portrait sculpted by Mary Gillick, which is still considered one of the most elegant renditions of Her Majesty. The penny itself had been a cornerstone of British currency for centuries, deeply embedded in everyday commerce, children's pocket money, and even popular culture. But the world was changing fast. By the mid-1960s, the United Kingdom was gearing up for decimalisation, an ambitious plan to modernise the currency system that had been in place for hundreds of years. The traditional system of pounds, shillings, and pence was set to be replaced with a simpler decimal system, which would finally come into effect in 1971. However, despite the imminent changes, the Royal Mint continued to produce vast quantities of pre-decimal pennies, including the 1967 issue, which turned out to be one of the most produced pennies of its kind. The Royal Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins in preparation for the transition, ensuring that the public would have sufficient coinage for everyday transactions until decimalisation was complete. The result was an enormous mintage, making the 1967 penny one of the last of its kind before the new decimal coins replaced it. But while the sheer volume might suggest there's nothing special about the 1967 penny, collectors know that the story doesn't end there. What makes this coin particularly fascinating is its status as one of the last circulating pennies of the old pre-decimal system to be struck for general use. After 1967, the penny was still produced but mostly for ceremonial or collector sets, with very few made for actual circulation. This gives the 1967 penny a symbolic place in the timeline of British coinage. For older generations, it evokes memories of a simpler time when a penny could actually buy something meaningful, when local sweet shops dotted every corner, and when children would proudly clutch their pennies to spend on candy or save up for a toy. Now let's take a closer look at the design of this classic coin. The obverse side features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, facing right and wearing a laurel wreath. This iconic image is accompanied by the Latin inscription plus Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina F laughing smiley colon, which translates to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. It's a testament to the monarchy's enduring role and Britain's deep-rooted traditions. The reverse side, meanwhile, showcases Britannia seated beside a lighthouse, trident in hand, shield resting by her side, a symbol that had graced the British penny since the reign of Charles II in the 17th century. This imagery of Britannia represents the nation's maritime strength, imperial history, and enduring spirit. The word 1 penny is inscribed boldly around the upper perimeter, with the date 1967 at the bottom. It's a design that feels both timeless and nostalgic, and for many collectors, it's a direct link to Britain's numismatic heritage. Of course, when discussing the value of any coin, condition plays a crucial role. For the 1967 1-penny, most surviving examples are found in circulated condition, having passed through countless hands and pockets over the decades. These circulated coins often show signs of where the details of Britannia may be softened, the rim nicked or smoothed, and the once shiny copper bronze surface may have developed a pattern ranging from warm brown to deep, rich chocolate hues. This natural aging process can add character, but it also means that only the best preserved examples truly stand out to discerning collectors. Coins graded as fine or very fine may fetch modest premiums, while uncirculated specimens in mint condition or proof strikes can be significantly more valuable. So, you may be wondering, what's the market like today for the 1967 one penny in circulated condition? While it's true that the 1967 penny is considered rare in the strictest sense, there are pockets of demand that continue to surprise. For collectors just starting out, the 1967 penny is often one of the first coins they acquire, drawn by its affordability, historical value, and iconic design. In the UK, individual circulated pennies from 1967 might sell for a few pounds each at local fairs or online auctions, depending on the condition. But when we shift the lens to international buyers, especially collectors in the United States or Australia, we see a different picture. Thanks to the growing popularity of online marketplaces and global auctions, even coins with relatively high mintage can achieve higher prices when they're marketed well. Many American collectors, fascinated by British coins, are willing to pay a premium for coins that evoke a piece of Britain's past. A single 1967 penny in good circulated condition can sell for anywhere from $72,000. Sometimes more if it's bundled with other pre-decimal coins or part of a larger set. For bulk lots of multiple circulated pennies, sellers often find enthusiastic buyers who appreciate the coin's aesthetic charm and the idea of owning a tangible piece of British history. Moreover, certain factors can push the value higher than expected. Coins with unique toning, attractive patinas, or coins that still have sharp details despite being circulated can stand out in the crowded market. Provenance can also add value. If a penny comes from a collection that's been well documented, or if it's part of a hoard discovered under interesting circumstances, collectors might be willing to pay more just for the story attached to the coin. It's this intersection of history, artistry, and storytelling that makes coin collecting such a fascinating hobby. For those interested in selling or buying a 1967 penny today, a few tips can help ensure you get the best value. First, always handle coins carefully. Even a circulated coin should be kept away from moisture and extreme temperatures. If you find a coin that looks like it's in better than average condition, consider storing it in an acid-free holder or a coin flip to prevent further wear. When listing your coins for sale online, provide clear, high-resolution photos of both sides of the coin. Include details about any visible wear, scratches, or unique toning, and be honest in your description. Buyers appreciate transparency and are more likely to trust sellers who provide all relevant information upfront. It's also wise to research recent sale prices before listing your coin. Check completed auction listings, browse reputable coin dealer websites, and keep an eye on forums and social media groups where collectors share insights and trends. Remember that while circulated coins are generally more affordable, certain buyers may be looking for them to complete a date run or to add to themed collections, such as coins from the final years before decimalization. Packaging your penny with other coins from the same era can add perceived value and appeal to collectors seeking a ready-made set. The 1967 United Kingdom one penny is a testament to the enduring allure of coins as historical artifacts, as works of art, and as pieces of everyday life frozen in time. Whether you find one tucked away in a family keepsake box, discover a handful at a flea market, or decide to hunt for higher-grade specimens through dealers and auctions, each coin has its own story to tell. It's a reminder that even the humblest penny can connect us to the past, spark conversations about our collective history, and inspire new generations to appreciate the art and craft of coin collecting. Next up, the United Kingdom one penny from 1949 in circulated fine condition, a coin that holds a special place in British coinage and continues to generate buzz in the auction market with surprising values in dollars. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just beginning your journey into the world of rare British coins, this deep dive into the 1949 penny will give you insights into its historical background, unique features, collector's value, and why even a humble circulated example can be worth more than you might expect in today's auction landscape. So sit back, grab your magnifying glass if you like, and let's explore every angle of this modest yet intriguing coin. Let's start by understanding the broader historical context in which this coin came into circulation. The year was 1949, just a few years after the end of World War II. Britain was rebuilding its economy, infrastructure, and society at large. Coins like the penny were a daily staple, used by the working class for everything from a bus fare to buying a loaf of bread. The British penny at that time was struck in bronze, a composition that had been used for decades. It was a reliable workhorse of the nation's currency system and symbolized stability during a period of profound change. King George VI was on the throne, and his reign is deeply linked to this particular coin. In fact, the obverse of the 1949 penny features the left-facing portrait of King George VI, designed by Thomas Humphrey Paget, one of the most prominent coin designers of the era. His initials, HP, can often be found just below the neck of the king's bust, a tiny but important detail for collectors who love the subtleties that make each coin unique. Now, shifting our attention to the reverse of the coin, you'll see the timeless figure of Britannia seated facing right, wearing a crested helmet and holding her trident with the shield resting beside her. This motif of Britannia had been a staple of British pennies since the 17th century, symbolizing Britain's maritime power and national pride. For the 1949 penny, the design stayed true to tradition, with the words 1 penny inscribed boldly and the date, 1949, at the bottom. What makes these coins particularly attractive to collectors is not just the artwork but the connection they offer to Britain's storied past. Each mark, nick, or scratch on a circulated coin tells a silent story of how it passed from hand to hand, generation to generation. So, what does it mean when we say a 1949 penny is in circulated fine condition? In numismatics, condition or grade can significantly impact a coin's value. A fine grade means the coin has seen clear use in everyday transactions but retains the major details of its design. You can still see the king's portrait with discernible hairlines and facial features, while Britannia remains mostly clear, though the high points may be worn smooth. For many collectors, circulated fine coins are an accessible entry point because they are more affordable than mint state or uncirculated examples, yet still carry the history and charm that make old coins so captivating. Now, let's talk rarity. You might be wondering, how rare can a 1949 penny really be after all? Millions were struck to meet the demands of post-war Britain. You'd be right, they are not the rarest penny in existence, but that doesn't mean they lack value or interest. What makes them noteworthy today is the diminishing number of examples in decent condition. Many were melted down or lost to time, while others have been so heavily circulated that they're barely recognizable. So, finding a 1949 penny in fine or better condition can be surprisingly challenging, especially when you're looking for clear details and minimal damage. Moving to the auction market, this is where things get interesting. In recent years, we've seen a resurgence of interest in British pre-decimal coins. As more collectors emerge, especially from international markets, prices for coins like the 1949 penny have seen steady upward trends. While a heavily worn 1949 penny might sell for just a few dollars, a well-preserved circulated fine example can fetch anywhere from $176,000, depending on its appeal and demand on the day of sale. In some online auctions, examples with exceptional patina or unique minting flaws have surprised sellers by crossing the $200,000 mark. This might not sound like a fortune, but remember, this is a coin that once bought a newspaper or a pint of milk. Its sentimental and historical value is priceless for many collectors. What exactly drives demand for coins like the 1949 penny? For one, it's the nostalgia. Many people love owning a piece of the past, especially from the era of King George VI, who remains an enduring figure in British royal history. His reign covers the tumultuous years of World War II and the early post-war period, making coins from this time feel extra significant. There's also the appeal of building a complete series. Many numismatists aim to collect every penny year from the reign of George VI. That means even common dates like 1949 have a guaranteed spot in albums around the world. And because condition always matters, collectors are willing to pay more for coins that still look crisp and attractive despite being over 70 years old. Another aspect that adds intrigue is the international collectors market. British coins, especially older pre-decimal pieces, are popular far beyond the UK. Collectors in the United States, Canada, Australia, and across Europe eagerly seek out these coins to expand their global sets. The relative affordability of a circulated fine 1949 penny makes it an easy addition for collectors who want history without breaking the bank. This international interest helps keep auction values competitive and sometimes unexpectedly high, especially when multiple bidders clash for the same piece. If you're thinking about selling or buying a 1949 penny, there are a few tips to keep in mind. First, always examine the coin carefully. Look for clear details on the King's portrait and Britannia. Check for any damage like holes, bends, or deep scratches that could reduce its appeal. A light, natural patina is often desirable as it shows the coin hasn't been aggressively cleaned, which can harm its value. When listing your coin for sale, provide clear, high-resolution photos from multiple angles. Serious buyers want to see exactly what they're getting, including the edges and any mint marks if visible. Honesty is key. Clearly state the condition, any flaws, and whether you're offering free shipping or a return policy. Now, let's talk about where to buy or sell. Auction houses, both online and physical, are excellent places to gauge market demand. Sites like eBay often see active bidding on British pennies, and you can track completed listings to get a sense of realistic selling prices. Local coin shows and fairs are also great venues for meeting buyers face-to-face, and you might even get the chance to trade for other pieces you need for your collection. Coin dealers can be an option, but remember they often buy at wholesale prices to resell, so you may get less than at auction. However, they offer convenience and immediate payment, which is sometimes worth the trade-off. Beyond the auction market, owning a 1949 penny can also be an educational experience. It can spark curiosity about British history, the monarchy, and the evolution of currency. Many collectors love researching the background of their coins, learning about the mints, the designers like Thomas Humphrey Paget, and the small production variations that make each piece unique. For families, passing down a collection of pennies through generations keeps history alive in a tangible way. That's why some collectors never sell their 1949 pennies, preferring instead to preserve them as family heirlooms or conversation starters for future generations. For those who want to expand their collection beyond just the 1949 penny, there's a whole world to explore. You could aim to collect the entire series of King George VI pennies from 1937 to 1952, noting the subtle design changes and minting differences. Or you might venture further back into the reigns of George V or even Queen Victoria, where pennies can command truly impressive prices, especially in higher grades. Each addition to your collection deepens your understanding of British numismatics and adds layers of history to your coin box. Finally, let's wrap up with some inspiration for collectors old and new. The 1949 one-penny coin is a beautiful example of how even ordinary everyday objects can become valuable treasures over time. So, whether you're planning to buy, sell, or simply admire a United Kingdom one-penny 1949 in circulated fine condition, you now have a deeper appreciation for what makes this modest coin so special. Keep an eye on the auction market, stay curious, and who knows, that small piece of bronze might one day surprise you with its value in dollars. That's the magic of coin collecting. Every coin has a story waiting to be discovered. Next up, the United Kingdom one penny from the year 1948, specifically focusing on those found in circulated condition that have developed a unique dark or almost black tone over the decades. This seemingly ordinary coin, once a simple part of daily life in post-war Britain, has now emerged as an intriguing collectible that many people are hunting for in today's bustling auction market. So whether you're a beginner starting your coin collection journey or an experienced collector looking for new gems to add to your collection, stick around because this episode will give you a full understanding of why the 1948 UK one penny can hold surprising value, what its story tells us about British history, how its condition affects its price, and why certain coins with unusual toning, especially those described as black or heavily patinated, can attract premium bids in dollars. To truly appreciate the significance of the 1948 one penny, let's travel back to post-war Britain. The year 1948 was a time of reconstruction and recovery after the devastation of World War II. Britain was grappling with rationing, economic rebuilding, and the introduction of the welfare state. Coins minted during this time carried more than just monetary value. They symbolized stability and continuity for people who had endured years of hardship. The one-penny coin was one of the backbone denominations of everyday transactions, making it a common sight in pockets, purses, and tills across the nation. But what makes the 1948 version particularly notable? Well, while not as rare as the 1933 penny, which is legendary for its scarcity, the 1948 penny holds its own special place in the hearts of collectors because of its transitional status in British coinage. It features the portrait of King George VI, who was a figure of resilience for the British public during the war years. His portrait on the obverse, facing left, is a classic design by Thomas Humphrey Paget. The reverse bears the iconic seated Britannia holding a trident and shield, a timeless symbol of Britain's maritime heritage. Now, you might be wondering, if millions of these coins were produced for circulation, how can one in a circulated and even blackened condition be considered rare or valuable? This is where the nuance of coin collecting comes in. Condition and rarity go hand in hand, but so does appeal, uniqueness, and the story behind a coin's wear and aging. Many 1948 pennies spent decades exchanging hands. Over time, they developed various patinas, stains, or oxidation layers depending on the environment they were kept in. Some coins, exposed to moisture or stored improperly, developed what collectors affectionately refer to as a black or deep brown toning. While this level of toning is technically corrosion, it can add a certain charm to the piece. It shows the coin's authenticity, its journey through history, and gives each example a unique character. A 1948 penny with an attractive, even dark tone can stand out in a collection of otherwise uniform copper coins, sparking conversation among enthusiasts and potential buyers alike. So how do we determine the value of such a coin in today's auction market? First, we have to look at the general grading scale for circulated coins. The better the coin's condition, meaning fewer scratches, dings, or corrosion spots, the higher its grade and the more dollars it can command at auction. A 1948 penny in fine to very fine condition, even with dark toning, may fetch a $100,000 in the US market, which might not sound impressive at first glance. But if the coin has strong details, clear lettering, and no damage beyond natural toning, the value can rise significantly. In fact, there have been cases where a beautifully toned circulated penny with a unique look sold for over $20 or $30 to collectors who appreciated its aesthetic. Now, if you come across one in an almost uncirculated or extremely fine state but with the same deep, unusual toning, that's when you might see bids going even higher, especially in specialized auctions or private sales. Another factor that boosts the desirability of a 1948 penny is provenance and presentation. Coins that come with a well-documented history, perhaps stored by a veteran or passed down through generations in a family, can tell a story that adds intangible value. Collectors love coins with a tail attached, and auction houses know this. That's why it's not uncommon for a circulated penny with an interesting backstory or unique environmental toning to attract multiple bids, driving its final hammer price well above its standard book value. This is where you, as a collector or seller, can really maximize your profit. If you've got a 1948 penny in black condition, consider getting it appraised by a reputable numismatist. They can help you determine whether the toning is natural or artificially induced, as artificial toning can actually lower a coin's value. Authenticity is king in the coin world, and any sign of tampering can make collectors wary. Speaking of authenticity, let's discuss a bit about how to verify if your 1948 penny is genuine. While counterfeiting of common pennies is not widespread, you should still be cautious. Genuine pennies of this year were struck in bronze, with a diameter of 30.8 millimeters and a weight of 9.4 grams. Any significant deviation from these specs could be a red flag. Look for the correct inscriptions. The obverse should read Georgiev 6DGBROMN Rex F laughing smiley IND surrounding the king's portrait, while the reverse should clearly display one penny and the date 1948 below Britannia. Check the rim for any unusual marks that could indicate casting or filing. Authentic coins should have a consistent, even edge. If you're unsure, don't hesitate to consult with a reputable dealer or grading service. A small investment in professional grading can pay off big time when you decide to sell. Let's move on to the modern auction scene. With the rise of online auctions and collector forums, the market for coins like the 1948 penny has expanded well beyond the UK. American collectors, in particular, have a soft spot for British coinage due to shared history and the allure of the monarchy. Sites like eBay, heritage auctions, and specialized numismatic auction houses frequently list circulated British pennies, and you'd be surprised at the demand for pieces with unusual toning or distinctive features. If you plan to sell, timing is key. Auction prices can fluctuate depending on trends, market demand, and even the time of year. Some sellers choose to list during peak collector seasons, like around major coin shows or conventions, to catch the attention of the most active buyers. Another smart tip is to present your coin well in your listing. High-quality photographs showing the coin in natural light, with close-ups of the obverse, reverse, and edge, can make a huge difference. Highlight the unique aspects of the toning, describe its origin if known, and be honest about any flaws. Transparency builds trust with potential buyers and can result in more competitive bids. If you're buying instead of selling, remember to research the seller's reputation, ask for clear photos, and be wary of deals that seem too good to be true. As always in numismatics, knowledge is your greatest asset. Now, let's talk about the future of the 1948 penny's value. While it's unlikely to reach the astronomical prices of ultra-rare coins like the 1933 penny or error coins like the 1954 farthing mistrike, the humble 1948 penny still holds steady potential as an accessible, historic collectible. Its value will likely continue to appreciate slowly over time, especially for well-preserved examples with unique toning or provenance. This makes it a great entry point for new collectors or a nostalgic addition for seasoned enthusiasts who appreciate the beauty in everyday historical coins. So what should you do if you come across a 1948 UK 1 penny in your attic, in a relative's coin jar, or at a flea market? First, don't clean it. One of the biggest mistakes new collectors make is scrubbing old coins to make them shiny. This destroys the natural patina and can slash the coin's value dramatically. Gentle handling with cotton gloves and proper storage in an acid-free holder will preserve the coin's character and appeal. If you're serious about adding value, consider investing in a basic coin microscope to inspect the finer details, like lettering sharpness and potential die errors. Small minting errors or anomalies can make even common coins more desirable to niche collectors. The United Kingdom 1 penny 1948 in circulated black condition is a small yet fascinating treasure waiting to be discovered by those with a keen eye and a passion for history. Its modest origins, distinctive look, and enduring popularity in the auction market prove that even the humblest of coins can become a prized collectible with the right story and condition. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or simply appreciate, I hope today's deep dive has inspired you to take a closer look at your own coin collections. You never know what hidden gems you might find. Next up, we're talking about the United Kingdom 1 penny from 1944. You might have seen one of these coins lying around in an old drawer, inherited from grandparents, or even spotted it in your local flea market. But did you know that even in circulated condition, this coin can have significant value, especially if you know what to look for? So sit back, grab a cup of tea, and let's dive deep into the history, features, rarity, and current market worth of the 1944 UK 1 penny. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin is still so special, how much it could fetch at auction today, and what you should do if you ever find one. Let's start by going back to the early 1940s. The year 1944 sits right in the heart of World War II, a time when the United Kingdom was heavily engaged in the global conflict against the Axis powers. Every aspect of British life was affected, including coin production. Resources were scarce, metals were being rationed for the war effort, and the Royal Mint had to keep the nation's coinage circulating smoothly despite all these constraints. The 1 penny coin, part of the British pre-decimal system, was a key denomination for everyday transactions. It might seem small now, but back then a penny had real purchasing power. You could buy sweets, newspapers, a pint of milk, or even save up a handful of them for bigger expenses. King George VI was the monarch at the time, having ascended the throne unexpectedly in 1936 after his brother Edward VIII's abdication. The coins bearing his portrait are a fascinating snapshot of Britain's resilience during those wartime years. The Royal Mint struck millions of pennies each year to keep up with demand, but each year carries its own history and context. The 1944 penny is not the rarest penny ever minted, but it does have unique features and interesting quirks that make it stand out, especially for collectors who are passionate about coins from the World War II era. Now, let's take a closer look at the design and physical features of the 1944 United Kingdom 1 penny. On the obverse side, that's the front, you'll find the portrait of King George VI, facing left. The legend around the portrait reads, Georgiev 6DGBROMN Rex F laughing smiley INDIMP, which stands for George VI, by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. This was a title used until India gained independence in 1947, making coins minted before this date historically significant. The portrait itself was designed by Thomas Humphrey Paget, a celebrated British medalist whose depiction of George VI is admired for its dignified yet approachable look. On the reverse side of the penny, you'll find Britannia, the classic symbol of Britain, seated facing right. She holds her trident in one hand and a shield adorned with the Union Jack in the other. Beneath her, the date 1944 is clearly visible, flanked by the sea waves in the background and a lighthouse to the left. This design was used on pennies for decades and is one of the most iconic images in British coinage history. The edge of the coin is plain, typical for pennies of this era. As for the technical specifications, the 1944 penny is made of bronze, consisting of 95.5% copper, 3% tin, and 1.5% zinc. It has a diameter of 30.8 mm and weighs about 9.4 grams. This makes it quite a substantial coin. When you hold one in your hand, you can feel its weight and history. Over time, circulated coins naturally develop signs of wear. You'll often see softening of the details on Britannia's robes, some flattening of the king's hair or crown, and minor scratches or marks from decades of use. Yet, even with such wear, many collectors treasure these coins because every scratch tells a story of the countless hands it passed through during and after the war. When it comes to rarity, the 1944 penny is an interesting case. Technically, it isn't the rarest penny. The Royal Mint produced tens of millions of them that year. However, their survival rate in good condition is what adds to their collectability today. Many of these pennies were used extensively during the war and in the tough post-war years that followed. Coins were often circulated for decades, meaning that high-grade, uncirculated examples are scarce. But here's where it gets interesting for collectors. Even circulated examples have value, especially if they have certain unique attributes. For example, errors or variations can boost a 1944 penny's worth significantly. Sometimes the coins were struck off center, or with slight die cracks, or they may show doubling on the letters or numbers. These minting errors are highly sought after by collectors who specialize in error coins. Another factor that plays into rarity is the quality of the strike. Some coins show sharper detail because they were struck early in the die's life, while others can be quite soft if struck later when the dies were worn down. This can make two coins from the same year appear very different in detail and quality, giving collectors something to hunt for. Additionally, the historical connection to World War II makes the 1944 penny an emotional piece for many collectors. Some people collect coins as a tribute to their family's involvement in the war, or simply because they love the stories behind these everyday objects that have survived for 80 years. This emotional connection helps maintain steady demand in the auction market. So, how much can you actually expect to get if you find a 1944 UK 1 penny in circulated condition? The answer depends on several factors: its grade, any errors it might have, and the demand at the time of sale. In general, a heavily worn 1944 penny in circulated condition might fetch anywhere from $55,000 if it's just a standard piece with no special features. However, coins in fine to very fine condition with good detail remaining on the King's portrait and Britannia's features still visible can command higher prices, often reaching the $100,000 range. Where it really gets exciting is when a circulated coin has something unique about it. A coin with a prominent minting error, unusual doubling, or an exceptionally sharp strike could push the value up significantly, sometimes exceeding $120,000 at auction, depending on the rarity of the error and the interest among bidders. On top of that, coins with strong provenance or interesting stories attached can sometimes bring in even more. For example, if you have a 1944 penny that was found in a World War II battlefield area or came with a letter detailing its history, collectors might be willing to pay a premium. It's also worth noting that the market for UK pre-decimal coins has been growing internationally. Many collectors from the US, Canada, Australia, and even parts of Asia are fascinated by British coins because of their historical connection to the British Empire. This international interest means there's a healthy market for these coins in online auctions like eBay, specialized numismatic websites, and dedicated coin fairs. Now, if you're thinking about starting your own collection of UK pennies, or if you've just found a 1944 penny and are wondering what to do next, here are some tips. First, always handle your coins carefully, especially if they're in decent condition. Use cotton gloves if possible and avoid touching the surfaces too much. Fingerprints can leave oils that tarnish the coin over time. Secondly, don't be tempted to clean your coin. Many beginners think that polishing an old coin will increase its value, but in reality, cleaning can destroy the natural patina and reduce its worth. Serious collectors prefer coins with their original surfaces, even if they have some wear and discoloration. Next, consider getting your coin professionally graded if you believe it's in exceptionally good condition or has a visible minting error. A grading service can authenticate your coin, give it a reliable grade, and often increase buyer confidence if you decide to sell it later. Keep an eye on auction sites and collector forums to see what similar coins are selling, for this will help you understand the realistic market value. If you're on the hunt for more 1944 pennies or other wartime British coins, visit local coin shops, antique stores, flea markets, and estate sales. You'd be surprised how often rare finds turn up in boxes of old coins that people inherited and never bothered to check. And finally, join a coin club or online community where you can share your finds, learn from other collectors, and stay updated on market trends. So there you have it, the fascinating story of the United Kingdom 1 penny 1944. It's a coin that captures a piece of British wartime history, holds sentimental value for many families, and still finds its place in the modern auction market as a modest but rewarding collector's item. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone who stumbled upon an old penny in Grandad's drawer, knowing the background and true worth of this little bronze piece can be an exciting adventure. Remember, even in circulated condition, a coin like this can be more than just pocket change. It can be a gateway into the world of coin collecting, a glimpse into history, and, for some, even a small but pleasant addition to their savings. If you've got a 1944 penny, take a closer look. Study its details, check for any unusual errors, and see how it compares to what's selling on the market today. Who knows, you might just have a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Next up, the United Kingdom 1 penny dated 1940. We're going to take you on an informative journey that will help you understand what makes this humble penny so special, especially when it appears in fine condition. We'll explore its rich history, the story behind its design, its significance during a time of global conflict, the key details that define its value today, and how much this seemingly ordinary coin can actually fetch at today's auction market when converted into dollars. So, whether you're a passionate numismatist, an aspiring coin collector, or just someone who found an old penny and wants to know if it's worth big money, this video is going to give you everything you need to know about the 1941 penny. The 1940 United Kingdom 1 penny is more than just a piece of metal. It is a small but remarkable artifact that has witnessed history unfold. Let's wind the clock back to 1940, a year etched in the memories of people across the world. The Second World War was raging through Europe, and the United Kingdom stood resilient amidst the growing threat of conflict and chaos. During this era, every penny mattered, literally and figuratively. Coin production continued to meet the needs of a nation at war, and the 1 penny coin remained a vital part of everyday life, from paying for a loaf of bread to buying a daily newspaper. But beyond its practical use, this penny carries a narrative that reflects the resilience of the British people, the craftsmanship of the Royal Mint, and the enduring legacy of British coinage. When we speak about the 1941 penny, we're talking about a coin minted during the reign of King George VI. King George VI ascended the throne in 1936 following the abdication of his brother Edward VIII. His reign coincided with some of the most turbulent times in modern history. The design of the coin itself had already been well established, featuring the traditional image of Britannia, the female personification of Britain, seated with her trident and shield, representing strength and maritime power. The obverse of the coin proudly bears the portrait of King George VI, designed by Thomas Humphrey Paget, a renowned British medalist and coin designer. This effigy captures the king in left-facing profile, crowned with laurel and depicted with a sense of dignity and steadfastness that mirrored the spirit of the nation during the war years. The penny in the 1940s was made from bronze, a sturdy metal alloy that could withstand the wear and tear of daily transactions. The Royal Mint produced these coins in large quantities to ensure that the economic life of the country could keep moving, even as resources were diverted to the war effort. Interestingly, even though the 1940 penny is not the rarest penny in terms of mintage figures, what makes it stand out today is its historical context and the condition in which it has survived the passage of time. Many coins from this era were heavily circulated, suffering scratches, dents, and corrosion over the decades. Finding one in fine condition is like unearthing a tiny piece of history that has remained remarkably well preserved despite the odds. Let's take a closer look at what makes the 1941 penny so recognizable and unique. On the obverse side, you'll see the left-facing portrait of King George VI, encircled by the Latin inscription Georgiev 6DGBROMN Rex F laughing smiley INDIMP, which stands for George VI by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. This inscription reflects the titles held by the British monarch at the time and serves as a snapshot of the political structure of the British Empire before the decolonisation movements that would reshape the world in the following decades. Flip the coin, and you're greeted by Britannia seated on a rock, facing right, wearing a helmet and holding a trident in her right hand while her left hand rests on a shield bearing the Union Jack. Beside her, you'll often see a lighthouse in the distance, symbolizing Britain's seafaring prowess and its role as a beacon of civilization. Below Britannia, the year of minting, 1940, is boldly inscribed, grounding this coin firmly in its historical context. This classic design had been a mainstay of British pennies since the 19th century, and its timeless imagery gives it a sense of continuity that collectors deeply appreciate. The coin itself has a diameter of 30.8 mm and weighs about 9.4 grams. These physical specifications make it a substantial coin in hand, especially compared to today's lighter and smaller currency. The texture, the raised rim, and the precise detailing all speak to the skill of the Royal Mint artisans who produced these coins during a time of rationing and resource scarcity. Now, let's address the big question: just how rare is the 1940 United Kingdom 1 penny, and why does its condition matter so much to collectors? The mintage figure for the 1940 penny was in the millions, which means that technically, it is not among the rarest coins ever minted. However, rarity in the world of numismatics is about much more than just mintage numbers. It's about survival rates and the state in which the coin has survived over the decades. During the wartime period, these pennies were used intensively. The constant circulation, the rough handling, and the lack of modern coin care practices meant that many of these coins were worn down to the point where their finer details were lost. A coin graded as fine condition holds significant appeal because it indicates that the coin has retained most of its original design elements. For the 1940 penny, a fine condition coin means that the portrait of King George VI is still well defined, Britannia's trident and shield show clear lines, and the inscriptions around the edges are still legible without the need for magnification. Any coin that shows minimal corrosion, has a smooth patina, and hasn't been damaged by improper cleaning will naturally fetch higher prices. Coins graded above fine condition such as very fine, extremely fine, or uncirculated can command even greater premiums, but those are exceedingly rare due to the coin's age and its heavy use during the war. Collectors seek coins like the 1940 penny because they represent an accessible entry point into British numismatics while still offering the thrill of owning a piece of history. For many, the appeal also lies in the possibility that a seemingly common coin could surprise them with its value if it happens to be in exceptionally good condition. So, what can a 1940 United Kingdom 1 penny in fine condition be worth in today's auction market when converted to dollars? The answer might surprise you because even though this coin was once just a penny, its historical significance, condition, and demand among collectors can drive its value to impressive heights. Generally speaking, a circulated 1940 penny in good condition might fetch anywhere between $50,000, which is modest but still interesting for a coin that was once worth a fraction of a pound. However, when the condition improves to fine or very fine, the value can rise to $65,000 or even more depending on the coin's eye appeal, the clarity of its design features, and the absence of damage. When a coin approaches extremely fine or uncirculated condition, which is rare, the value can climb even higher, with some coins reaching auction prices of over $100,000 or more. Certain factors, such as provenance, collector demand at the time of sale, and whether the coin has been part of a notable collection, can further influence its final price. Online auction sites like eBay, as well as specialized coin auction houses, have recorded sales of 1940 pennies that highlight this wide range of values. What's particularly interesting is that collectors in the United States and other parts of the world often convert these values to dollars, making it easier to appreciate just how much these small bronze coins can be worth beyond the shores of the United Kingdom. If you happen to own a 1941 penny, or you're hoping to find one at a local flea market, estate sale, or even in an old box of forgotten coins, there are some important tips to keep in mind to ensure you get the most value from your find. First and foremost, never attempt to clean the coin with harsh chemicals or abrasive materials. While it might be tempting to make your penny shine like new, improper cleaning can strip away the natural patina and damage the surface, which drastically reduces the coin's collectible value. Instead, store the coin in a dry, cool environment, preferably in an acid-free coin flip or a coin capsule that protects it from dust and moisture. When you're ready to determine its value, consider having the coin professionally graded by a reputable numismatic grading service. A certified grade gives potential buyers confidence and can significantly boost the coin's market appeal. Keep an eye on auction trends and recent sales of similar coins so you know when the time is right to sell or add to your collection. Joining a coin club or attending numismatic shows can also help you network with other collectors and learn more about what makes coins like the 1941 penny so desirable. Another tip is to research the history behind your coin. Sometimes, coins with interesting backstories or unique provenance attract collectors who are willing to pay a premium for a piece that tells a story. Whether it was passed down through your family or discovered in an old jar of change, documenting the coin's journey can add intangible value that resonates with buyers. The United Kingdom 1 penny dated 1940 is more than just a piece of pocket change from the past. It's a symbol of a nation that stood strong during one of the darkest periods in history. Each surviving coin is a testament to the resilience of the people who used it daily and the craftsmanship of the Royal Mint that produced it under challenging circumstances. For collectors today, finding a 1940 penny in fine condition is like holding a small but significant fragment of history in the palm of your hand. Its value in today's auction market, especially when converted to dollars, serves as a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary objects can carry extraordinary worth. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with fellow coin enthusiasts. And comment below if you've ever come across a rare UK 1 penny coin. We'd love to hear your story. See you next time with more hidden treasures from the world of coin.